Hey everybody, it is Tuesday and it's 2 o'clock. So that means it is time for Top 5 Tuesday. I'm your host from Crate Insider. I am Kate Dillon. And each week, if you're new here, I go live at about 2 o'clock Eastern and we talk about the top 5 products of the week. I do giveaways and we always have some kind of feature that we talk about. So this week, what's featured on the show is if you've watched anything I've been in recently, I have talked a ton about Race Logic and Race Logic chassis schools. I got involved several years ago. And for the past few years, I've been going and filming them. And it's really such a great group of people brought together by Brian Littleton. And I am very happy to report that the Crate class, so we had the Crate Late Model Chassis School, we had that on January 15th and 16th of this year. And all of those videos are edited and done, and they are up on the racelogic.vip website. So we'll drop in a link so that you can check that out. But so much incredible information. I know that I gained a lot of knowledge on some great products to be adding. And so you'll see more of like what comes out of the chassis school. But if you want to find out how to go fast, how to win races, the best thing that you can possibly have is information in order for you to be able to do everything right and get your car all dialed in. Now, I will tell you, if you are a street stock racer, I am still working on the street stock class. I'm still working on editing that. I'm about halfway through. So when you're at racelogic.vip, if you're a street stock racer, just know that I am adding more. And I expect that to be done by the end of this week. That will have that all up on the website. And the cool thing is with those videos, you can fast forward, you can rewind, you can watch it over and over and over again as many times as you want. So it really helps it a lot. And we've put together a couple bundles over there. So if you want to get last year's class and this year's class bundled together, we've got a special deal over there for both the crate class. And then I even have a super bundle for the street stock class, because we've been doing the street stock class for 2020. We did 2 last year, one with metric and one with IMCA, and this year with a metric, although we did talk about some, a lot of crossover things as well. So even if you're not running a metric street stock, but you're still running a street stock, there's a lot of value in there. So it's really good. All right, I'm going to say hi to some folks here, and then we'll show my giveaways here. I see Penny is here from Oklahoma, and Scott's here from California. Where I want to go fast, but had to turn left. And I see Chuck is here. So thank you all so much for being here, and let's jump in. So I've got a couple things to give away. Of course, I was just talking about Race Logic, and right here I have a Race Logic t-shirt. This one happens to be a large. So if you would like, just all you have to do to win one of our live giveaways is just drop in a comment. And then if we draw your name, I've got Tori and Curtis helping in the office over there. So they're going to draw a name and they'll let me know who that is at the end of the show. Also, if you happen to know what my sign said, I guess I missed the show last week. Sorry, I get these migraines sometimes that take me out for a couple of days. And that was one of those Tuesdays where that happened. But if you know what my sign said 2 weeks ago, drop that in as a comment. I happen to have this 4X Crate Insider t-shirt. So 4X, if you're at 4X, then you're in luck. I know sometimes you guys get you guys don't get the same, I mean, it can be hard. So anyway, got the 4X shirt right here. So if you know what my sign said and you want a 4X shirt, then drop in the comment saying what the sign said a couple of weeks ago. With that, let's go ahead and jump into our top 5 products of the week. Got my little rolly cart here. Oh, there's spoiler alert right there. Guess what that is? But in the number 5 spot this week is from our friends over at LSM Racing Products, and that is our valve spring changer. And something that we talk about a lot, especially with crate engines, is there's not a ton of maintenance when you compare that to an open engine, but there's a few things. You want to change the oil, and more than likely you're going to change the valve springs from time to time. And here is our LSM valve spring changer, and it's all 6061 T6 aluminum. I love that it's American made. Go America. I obviously go America, but you know what? I'm going to be sort of political for just a second. Also, go Canada, go Canadian truckers. Thank you. You can even follow me on my own personal page. I know I donated to the Freedom Convoy 2022, donated to them this morning. I think they're doing a great thing. Freedom is the most important thing ever. So I'm sliding that in there. But valve spring changer. Sorry, I got off track there. and it runs $239.98. But yeah, I mean, type in honk if you agree with me on that one. I'd be honking my horn. I don't really like loud noises, but well, except like race cars. All right, next up in the number 4 spot, you can see it right behind me, is my fire bottle. So this is the AMRC 1002. I am so happy to see, after years of talking about fire suppression, I am so happy to see that more and more racers are putting fire suppression systems into their cars, whether their rules require it or not. And this is our Mac Daddy system right here. This is the AMRC 1002. I call it the Lucas Oil system just because it was the one that was originally mandated by actually the United Dirt late model rules. But the way this works, this is both automatic and manual. And what that means with the automatic, it means that there's this little glass cylinder, and at 170 degrees, that little cylinder will automatically break and set off the system. But rather than, if you see a fire happening, you don't want to have to wait for the automatic system to go off. This way, it also comes with a pull cable, so you could use the pull cable, and that's what's referred to as manual. So this is both automatic and it's manual, and it's referred to as a 10-pound bottle. Now I think this system, when it's full, weighs, well, actually this one's my little dummy guy that I could just show off all the time and don't have to worry about going off. I think it weighs about 18 pounds, but the 10 pounds or 5 pounds refers to the amount of chemical that's put into it. And so this is the bigger bottle. So the 10-pound system, this is the most highly recommended of any of the fire suppression systems that we sell. So AMRC 1002, and I can't remember, I think it runs $919 something now. Plus we have hazard shipping because of the chemicals that are in it. But you'll be able to see it on the website. We'll drop in a link to that for sure. And I love Scott says right here, he says, ran fire bottle going back to 1991. Safety matters. I completely agree with you that it absolutely matters. I mean, that's why I stayed away for so long. My dad always had a fire extinguisher in the car, so I just thought it was something that everybody already did. And until I discovered that it was not necessarily what everybody did. All right, Christopher says, did the street stock class cover Camaros? A little bit. We did a lot on, of course, metric, and some on the Camaros, and some on even on leaf springs. We talked about leaf springs a bit, so that was kind of fun as well. Oh, and I see people from all over. So I see Mitch is here from Iowa, and Tommy is here from Georgia. I'm so glad. So cool deal. It's really fun to cover different parts of the country. All right, next up in the number 3 spot is from our friends at DRP. And so this is our wide 5 bearing spacer. And speaking of Camaros, I do carry the Camaro bearing spacer as well. That was one of the tips that really came out of the school. I'm not trying to, spoiler alert, but funny thing is I was just listening to that part of the class where we talked about bearing spacers. And if there is one thing that you want to invest in to help your car roll more smoothly, bearing spacers are the way to go. And, more details on that, of course, they talk about it for a lot longer. But the bearing spacers are a great way to go. And these wide 5 bearing spacers run $53.85 a piece. Thing is, you buy these and it's not like it's going to be a consumable. You're not going to go through them or have to change them. It's something that you'll be able to move forward with. Even if you sold your car and took them off and put them on the next one, you certainly could. So the wide 5 bearing spacer, a great way to go to really, really reduce the amount of friction in your car and allow you to push it. The thing is, if it takes like 3 people to push your car right now, by adding bearing spacers, you can get that down to 1 person being able to push your car, then you've done what you could to free up that car. That's going to help you a lot. All right, next up in the number 2 spot is from our friends at High Velocity Heads, and getting a lot of questions on 602s and what kind of carb spacers to run. And this is it right here. And this is the one where we call it's for a dual plane intake manifold, because on the top of the 602s, that intake manifold, instead of just being one square hole up there, it has a divider in it. So with this carb spacer, we found with matching it up to that divider is giving us the best performance with a 602 because it lines up with the intake manifold. So this right here is our one for our 602, and this runs 147 is where we are with that. So aluminum, beautiful. Just the CNC work on that is just gorgeous. And I love how they started stamping in here too, carb side, because that was a question I would get a lot would be, hey, I got this carb spacer, and which way do I put it on? And so this way, with it etched in here, carb side, I'm really glad the guys over at HVH did that, because it helps everybody. So there we go. So carb spacer in the number 2 spot right there. So I'm going to see if there's any other questions or comments. If you guys have any questions for me, I know we answer a lot of questions on our Monday night show, and if you are new here, you can join us on the Crate Insider Facebook and YouTube pages on Monday nights at 8 p.m., where I sit down with Steve Hendren from Hendren Racing Engines. We answer lots of questions, any questions that the audience has about crates and, how you're running and how that can help you. And we do all of that on Monday nights. And that also turns into our podcast. And you can find that Racing Insiders podcast. And we've got a website for that as well, RacingInsidersPodcast.com, or you can find us on Google or iTunes or anywhere where you would listen to podcasts. All right, next up, in our top spot, they just changed the packaging. So I'm looking forward to checking this out. Product I've sold for a long time, but it came in a box now instead of a thing that goes on the, where we can hang them on the wall. So thought we'd go ahead and do a little unboxing video, because I personally love unboxing videos. So there we go. And we're going to open this up, and I can sort of surprise you all, because I'm surprised to see how it looks in here. There we go. Point towards the camera. But it's our Longacre leak down tester. I like how they've done this. So, I like it, because now we can touch it and feel it and stuff. So a big question we get, of course, is how often should I freshen my engine? And what Steve always says is the best thing to do is to leak down your engine, and you'll find out where it's at and if it's time for you to freshen it. So what happens is when you power this up, you connect this to a spark plug. We actually have we have a video on this, but you would connect it to a spark plug hole on your engine, and then you add air pressure, and one side will read 100 pounds, and then you'll see the difference on the other side of the other dial, and that'll tell you the difference, and then you'll know, I guess I've been holding this upside down, so I apologize. There we go. But then you'll know the difference between those two will be your percentage of leak down. And when you find those numbers getting higher and higher, then it's time to do something that your engine is tired. It's maybe time to freshen. Maybe it's time to sell it, get a new one. If that is an option, we all know that we live in the times that we live in. So that's not necessarily an option right now, but we want to preserve what we have for as long as we possibly can. So with that, that runs $129.99. So really good way to make sure that you're not spending money too soon. Making sure that you're not getting your engine rebuilt too quickly. So just a little over $100, and you can find out for yourself. All right, with that, we've got a couple of winners over here. So for the first person with our Race Logic t-shirt and leaving a comment, this is going to be Scott Compton in California. So Scott he's on a ton of our shows. So Scott, thank you so much for being so dedicated as a viewer. We appreciate you being here, and we'll send you out this Race Logic school shirt here. Just send our Facebook page a private message with your address, the Crate Insider Facebook page with your address. We'll get that sent out to you. And for knowing what the sign said, Tommy Nail. So Tommy, if you would, please send Crate Insider's Facebook page a private message with your address, and we'll get that shirt sent out to you. I want to thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much for being part of the show. I'll be back on Monday with Steve for the Racing Insiders podcast. And of course, I will be back here next Tuesday at 2 o'clock. I hope you have a great week.